Story time. So I went to LA a couple of months ago and went to this amazing perfume store called The Scent Room. You should definitely look it up. They've got them all over the country, but in LA, it was my first time. And the place had everything. Everything niche and independent niche that you could think of. But what separated them from most stores is they carried just about entire lines of some of the most sought after brands that you can really only find online. They had them out there on the dance floor, ready to be tested and sprayed. So many brands: Roja, Argos, The Mean, Wilhelm, Roja. Zoologists. They had everything you can think of, but this one stood out to me so much so that I was willing to spend $32 to bring home a sample and inevitably buy the fragrance. Strap up. Let's go for a ride. Okay. I watch that head move side to side as I let this in into the room. You were on time. Let's connect minds. Trying to get into a mood. We gon' be fine. Close up the blinds. No rush. Finish the food. All right. Welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening. Listen here. On the guy's side of things, you hear a lot about rose, and in particular, rose ouds. It seems like when men get into rose-noted fragrances, they always talk about rose and oud, and various fragrances that do oud and rose the best. What if I was to tell you that there is one combination that many people are not speaking about that is equally, if not more, signature and exquisite to my nose? Ladies and gentlemen, from the house of Nasomatto, we have Baraonda. Before I go into my initial impressions of this fragrance, because I already know it's phenomenal, smelled it at the scent room, was absolutely blown away. I said, hey, give me a sample of this. I got to take it home because I really want this and I want to see how it settles on skin. She rang me up. I was in a hurry. She said, all right, that'll be like $32. I was like, what? $32 for a sample? Apparently the concentration is high. The oil concentration is really high. The demand is high. The supply was low. Whatever. Normally all the samples in there, even for niche and independent niche, were around $7-8. But for some reason, because I was in a hurry, this lady convinced me to spend $32 on a sample. Nonetheless, when I took it home, I was just as excited as the love at first sniff that I had in LA, and I had to get a bottle. We're going to go through this juice today because that juice is precious to me, and I'm not going to bring the bottle out. You guys can look it up. It's a fantastic bottle. I'll even show it to you on Fragrantica. But let me do an initial impressions that isn't truly initial, just for your guys' sake. I'm only doing one spray, guys. The oil concentration on this fragrance is intense. Again, you would think rose and oud is what you should be thinking about when it comes to rose fragrances, but I'm going to tell you guys, this goes toe-to-toe with anything out there that has to do with rose for men. Now, this is a unisex scent. Ladies, don't shy away from this fragrance. It, to me, is transformative on either male and female. It will transform on you. So I want you ladies to consider this as well because it could be very special for you. Woody, whiskey, rose. I promise you that you cannot picture a fragrance like this. You truly have to smell it in person, because when you smell the level of quality that comes into these ingredients, you'll notice that anytime you've smelled whiskey or rose or woods in the past, it has been way subpar compared to the experience that you get here. This is truly a special fragrance. Initial impressions, so I don't make love to the track too much or glaze it. I'll save that for the second date. You get this like smooth, dense, weighty, like block of wood like soaked in like a caramel. And this caramel isn't honeyed. It isn't syrupy. It is light, dry, yet somewhat dense, like almost like a light powder effect in terms of weight. So again, it's like a block of wood, a fresh, natural block of wood with almost like it's soaked in a caramel liquid, and you're smelling it like 4 days later. So it's got this almost dry, ashy, slight powdery caramel soaked wood. And then drenched over top of it is this whiskey floral amber spice. It's very floral though. So it's crazy how this balance is working together, because it's very floral, yet the whiskey is not strong. You don't smell this kind of the whiskey bite, which you would get on something like Ombre Noir or even like Gentleman Reserve Privé, how there's like a whiskey note in there. This is a little bit shy on the whiskey, but it's definitely there. I think the caramel is kind of playing with it. But it's just so good, guys. It has just a life of its own. It's really a fragrance where when I first smelt it, I didn't care what I was going to use it for. I just knew I wanted it. So yeah, wood block soaked in kind of like a caramel dust. Then a huge pungency of this kind of like white floral rose whiskey. And it's on skin, it warms up to be a slightly ambered, slightly spicy experience. And it just packs a punch, man. So much personality in this fragrance. Absolutely love it. Let's switch screens for half a second. Check out this bottle. Very cool bottles, 30 ml. You can get Baraonda. I'm skipping around here, but you can get this fragrance for under 130. It is only a 30 mil, but these are extraits. They last a long time. 2, maybe 3 sprays maximum in any weather, and it's going to get the job done. It'll function like a 70 ml, I promise you. Retails for like, I think 200-ish. Yeah. And you can get it as low as 120 here is what I'm seeing. 4.42 out of 5 with 5,400 votes. Guys, normally I'll tell you to never listen to Fragrantica, but this is substantial, guys. 4.42, so that is a above mass appeal score out of 5 with 5,400 votes. That's the real convincing tell here. So don't let me tell you this fragrance is awesome. Let 6,000 people tell you it's awesome. To have an average rating of 4.42 might be one of the highest I've seen on Fragrantica in my journey. So here we go, guys. Whiskey, woody notes, musk, rose, ambroxan, and musk. I just like it, guys. I'm going to be quite real with you for half a second. I struggle with this fragrance because to me it's perfectly unisex. It's transformative on a man and a woman. But the only kicker here is age. I feel like it is just almost creeping to a level of maturity where I don't know if people that are in college or less could really appreciate this for a couple of reasons. Number one, because it's truly unisex. And if you wear unisex fragrances, maybe you might jive with this. But most at that age, most guys are wearing guy fragrances, girls are wearing girl fragrances. And so there's a certain type of profile that you familiarize yourself with where on a guy's side, smelling something this floral would, there'd be a hesitation there. I'm imagining. For a woman, I think the whiskey might be intimidating for the younger women. But nonetheless, once you get over about 25, this is a fun fragrance. So animated, so much personality, so robust, so many things in this scent to appreciate. It's truly, I don't want to say eternal, but if you don't get 8 hours out of this fragrance, I really don't know what to tell you. So it just has all the star power. It has the wow factor in the opening. It transitions fairly linearly. There's different dimensions to the scent to appreciate. Sometimes you get the smooth caramelic woods. Sometimes you get this ashiness. Sometimes you get a soft, damp floral. Sometimes you get the rose sticking out. The rose is everywhere. And the rose type here is a very light powder rose. It's animated sweet. It's not supernatural. The powder sometimes can create an illusion of like petals, but this is more of an animated rose. Similar type of rose feel as like a oud satin mood, but this scent is nothing like oud satin mood to me, just due to the woods and the whiskey and the amber and the musk. But in terms of the part of the fragrance that smells like rose, it's kind of this pretty powdery, futuristic rose that's really got good weight behind it. Like the caramel in the woods and the musk are just, and the whiskey are such good counterbalance, because it almost kind of has this like Gris Charnel floral feel, where men going into Gris Charnel might be intimidated by just that blast of flowers, but again, unlike Gris Charnel or Gris Charnel Extrait, this one really has a butt to it. The caramel, woods, and whiskey and musk really counterbalance it in such a way where it feels masculine on a man, feels feminine on a woman, but it's fun, it's complex, it lasts forever, it's got beautiful projection. This is just a great fragrance. I had to buy it. Again, I feel like the only kicker here is for age. It's hard for me to imagine 25 and down could appreciate a profile like this, but I think 25 and up, you just have to get your nose on it. Again, don't listen to me, listen to the Fragrantica scores. I think for its price point, it's like, well, everybody should have this in their collection. Just everybody. When do you get a fragrance that has 6,000 votes and a 4.5 rating? Rarely. Bottle presentation, absolutely gorgeous. Nothing in your collection will look like it. And it just checks all the boxes. Presentation, longevity, projection, uniqueness in the marketplace, versatility. I truly think this is a fall winter scent, a cold weather scent, but this is the type of signature fragrance that in the spring and summer, I'm wearing it at night. I just don't care. As long as I have the tiniest breeze, I'm going outside with it. It's truly a special fragrance. You can't wear this casually, in my opinion. I just think, sometimes I say rich person's casual because it's like, screw it money. But I really don't think this is appropriate for even a rich person's casual. I think it's always something special. You're going on a date. You're going to a lounge. You're dressing up. You're going to the gala. You're going to a casino. If you went to a funeral in this, you would put everybody in such a hopeful, optimistic mood. It's gentle, but it's robust. It's not harsh. For such hardcore notes like rose and whiskey and caramel and musks, this is surprisingly so easy on the nose, especially on the dry down. Guys, I just think this fragrance is special, and I don't want to make it a 20-minute episode because, in all honesty, I want to save kind of the psychology behind why this is so good for a memoir. And so I'm just going to say, for me, this is 10 out of 10. In my entire journey, this is different than a lot of things for a rose to not go oud and go whiskey and caramel and musk, that's truly different. That's truly unique to me. To go in that direction and not really feel gourmand, but just feel like maybe it's shouting, "Hey, gourmands!" You know, they're off in the distance and you could kind of almost get them, but it mostly is truly a fragrance that isn't like you're not turning yourself into delicious dessert or anything like that. There is a seductive element to the whiskey and the caramel and the florals, but it doesn't, I would not call this a gourmand fragrance. You know, the whiskey is not dripping off the plate. The caramel is not edible. You know, these are just, the balance on this is what's so special about it. I think all of you need to smell this in your fragrance journey, whether you like it or whether you don't. Sometimes you got to get out of the mindset that you have to know how you're going to use a fragrance. Sometimes it's just about the story and the house and the curiosity and seeing how art is being created. And sometimes you can appreciate art without buying it, right? Like, I could imagine somebody smelling this and maybe not liking it, but it's still a masterpiece. So 10 out of 10 for me, no questions asked. Sprays, 3 or less, truly. 3 sprays maybe in the winter. Most of the time I'm going 1 in the front, 1 in the back. Alternatives to this, I truly don't know of one. If I look here, I really think this is easily top 2, top 3 in the Nasomatto lineup. For me right now, it's ranked number 1, but that's just because it's love at first sniff. I'm in my first year of owning it. We'll spin the block and see if things like Pardon, which I also own, Black Afghano, there's a couple other super duper hitters in the lineup. What did I want to tell you guys? Oh, alternatives. Let me just see if there was anything. So it looks like some unique e-luxury, a bunch of scents I've never heard of. Wow, 14-1 comparison to Midnight Whisper. You guys got to see this real quick. Look at this. 14 up votes versus 4 down votes. That Midnight Whisper is close to this from day 3. I have Midnight Whisper, so I'm going to go ahead and do a comparison, but I wouldn't really truly call this an alternative, even if it was, because if Midnight Whisper ever came back, the list price would be like $150, $177, something around there. Discounted, you might get it at $150, and this fragrance you can comfortably get around the $120, $130 price point every single time. So this is clearly the better pickup, and I believe Midnight Whisper deals more with iris, if I'm not mistaken. No, it is a rose whiskey. It is a rose whiskey musky fragrance. It does have a nuance though of oud, lime, and bergamot. So that would be the difference, is it is truly a rose oud fragrance. But that'll be interesting to try them next to each other. Again, 10 out of 10 masterclass fragrance. At bare minimum, guys, get your nose on this. This is an absolute stunner signature scent that I'm very fond of. In my collection, it's one of one. There's nothing really like it. I do carry a lot of rose ouds and some rose scents. I'm very picky and particular about rose. I feel like 80, maybe even 90% of the rose anything type of fragrances that I've encountered where rose is kind of the star note, it's done wrong. It's off balance. It's not high quality. So it's always either an issue of quality or balance for me. But this nails quality, balance, and then it comes in with uniqueness. It's truly unique in the marketplace, even down to the bottle presentation. So I think you got to get your nose on it. We just hit 20 minutes, but there's no shame in my game. This is Nasomatto's Baraonda, 10 out of 10. Get your nose on it, please. You got to try it. Maybe if I can find it in my heart to let this go since I have a bottle, maybe I will. But if somebody won this, you'd be getting a $30 sample that is to die for. And honestly, in this little like 3-4 ml, this would probably last you like 10 different occasions worth of wear because 1 or 2 sprays gets the job done. So I'll pray on it if I want to let this go. But this is one of the best juices I've smelled in my entire collection. So get your nose on it. Nasomatto's Baraonda, 10 out of 10. Go cop it. It's super affordable. Unquestionably a rare gem in my collection. Like, comment, subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. Talk to me. I do talk back. I got to go, but I'm going to put a video on the left and on the right. There we go. On some stuff that you might like based off what you've been searching for. We've got over 1,000 videos on the channel at the time of this recording, and I'm going to triple that in 2026. How about that? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. All right. Stay blessed. Peace.